One, two, three, go.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Carlo at 4GQ TV, and I have a very special guest today. But real quick, introduce the panel. Co-hosts Paris and Paul. But our very special guest, somebody who's been in the industry as an artist, a creator, Karl Moline. What's going on?
Hey, not much, guys. What's going on with you?
Can you tell us?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into what you currently do?
I loved to draw since I was a little kid. Somewhere around 15, I just realized that I really loved comics and storytelling and the human figure, and sort of made up my mind that I wanted to do comics. And yeah, luckily nothing swayed me off of that course. I, spent the next decade or more trying to get into the business and sending submissions, sample pages to editors, and trying to get feedback and going to conventions and meeting people and practicing and doing my own books. And after about a decade, it finally took, and I've been doing it ever since. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just taking a look at some of the Marvel comics that you've done in the past, and some of the stuff that you've done not too long ago. So, what are you currently working on that you're willing to share?
I'm doing a book called Eternus, published from Scout Comics, and it's produced by Thunder Comics. It's an idea that came down the line from Andy Serkis and Andrew Levitas, who are both big Hollywood guys. Andy Serkis was famously Gollum and Alfred in the new Batman. But it's a Greek gods and goddesses book, sort of crossed with a murder mystery and a little bit of a Game of Thrones flavor. It's magic and mystery and monsters, and it's a little bit of a lone wolf and cub story where Heracles and this little blind priestess are traveling the countryside trying to find Zeus's murderer. So yeah, the first issue comes out this month.
Nice.
August 31st, I think. And it's 7 issues long, and hopefully it'll be a thing. It's a great looking book. I worked with a great team, Andy Owens and Pamela Pogliaggi. Sorry, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. And my amazing writers, Don Hanfield and Anna K. Smith. They're the ones who really did the magical part, brought the idea to life. But,
awesome.
Yeah, been a fun book.
Nice.
Definitely gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, we were promoting it pretty hard in San Diego, so I just got back from there a little while ago.
Oh, nice.
You were
hoping against hope to meet Andy Serkis, but no.
No.
He was on like a Zoom call, and like they did these auctions and stuff. So he was there in spirit, but didn't get to take a selfie.
Nice. Now put that in the bucket list of things to accomplish, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, I just love to meet him. He's a fascinating dude.
Yeah.
I remember on the extras of the King Kong DVD, they talked about how he went up into the mountains to like study the wild gorillas, the Rwandan gorillas, and ended up, living up there for like a week or something. Came down with this like massive bushy beard, like he had totally caught the gorilla spirit. I was fascinated by that. He's a cool guy, man.
Yeah, he's definitely he definitely has a long, big range of things that he can.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize he'd been in that King Kong, which was the first HD DVD movie I ever owned.
Yeah. He was the motion capture actor and voice of King Kong, and then he also played Lumpy, I think was the character's name, the cook on the ship. He gets eaten by a worm, like eats his head. That's him. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's nice. So you're gonna play this part too. All right, I'll do it.
Yeah. And then he just directed the new Venom movie. The Venom 2. There Must Be Carnage or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, he's an accomplished guy.
So one thing
it was a really fun story to work on. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
Oh no, that's all right. No, go ahead. I was just gonna say it's really cool that you mentioned Scout Comics, because when I was at Tampa Comic Con, I saw the Scout Comics table, and I had it was the first time I ever heard of Scout Comics. So hearing that you're actually working on a project with them, I'm definitely going to go support it, because I like what I saw at that table.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, no, they're a great company. Like, and this project is actually pretty different than their normal model. Normally, what they do is they use their power and influence to promote guys who are doing independent books, that are funded from Kickstarter, have a good little story going, and then they'll reprint the first issue and then the first trade paperback of these little unheard of projects and give them a national, get them in the comic stores, give them a national platform and distribution. And they grew over the pandemic. Like, they were the only comic company that didn't take a massive hit during coronavirus. So, but doing a project where they're actually creating it from the ground up, like I said, it's sort of, we're doing it through Thunder Comics, and then they'll publish through Scout. But this is a new formula for that. So we'll see how it works out. Hopefully it goes pretty well. But they've had a lot of success, man. They got a lot of greenlit Hollywood things that were Scout books. Solar Flare and The Mall and The Recount, I believe, is in. It's been options to be made. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Company. And I actually, ironically, I've been working for them off and on over the last 5 years through other books. Like, I did this one issue for a book called Tart that's about a bunch of time-traveling demon hunter sexy girls. And they got picked up by Scout Comics to be published, and now that's a whole thing. And then I did a fill-in issue on the Electric Black Presents. I don't know if you know what the Electric Black is, sort of an anthology horror book that got picked up over at Scout Comics. And so we did sort of an origins tale type thing. And then to kind of come back around and do a third project that got picked up by them, was picked up beforehand. I don't know, it was weird. Weird situation.
Nice.
Yeah, very cool situation to be in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at their site, Scout Comics, and I was looking at Stabby Bunny.
Great book. Yeah, great book.
It's just, I'm looking at the comics. I'm probably gonna buy some now because it's pretty cool. And they got a plush for sale too, a little Stabby Bunny plush. It looks so cute, but I'm sure the comic probably tells a different story.
That's where the money is, and that sweet merchandise. Yeah, you got
merchandise it, baby.
T-shirts and stuffed animals and coffee mugs out there.
Nice.
What a world!
What a world, right? Yeah.
So
that's cool.
From speaking to you at the convention and speaking of Mo, maybe I might be wrong, but I think I'm correct. Did both of you start at CrossGen?
No. I'm trying to remember if Maury did stuff before CrossGen. I feel like he did a couple of things with one of the Casadas, or even with Bart Sears. Like, I feel like he did something with Bart, and that was how, because Bart was assistant art director, and he's the one, I'm pretty sure, that brought Maury into CrossGen. But I think they had worked together on something before that. Don't quote me, but and with me, I had done a bunch of stuff. I did a Vampirella. I did a couple of Marvel books. I did the last issue of Dark Horse Presents, and then I got hired for Frey, and I was doing Frey when I auditioned for CrossGen and got picked up by them. So I had done a few things. I'd worked with Joss Whedon already before I started working there, so some might say I had already made it. Peaked early if they wanted to be me.
I'll tell you what, if you did the last edition,
it's probably true.
If you did the last edition of Dark Horse Presents, I had seen your work before knowing who you were.
Right.
with
Well, I
Archer,
think
yeah.
they restarted it again later, years later, but yeah,
Yeah.
this would have been, oh geez, 98 or 99 maybe?
Yeah, I was still heavily collecting back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Witch's Son was the first story I did for Dark Horse, and it was a story that Scott Alley wrote, and Ryan Sook was originally slated to draw it, and then he got picked up on something big, but he had done a bunch of layouts for the story already, so I used his layouts, and basically I was hired to flesh out his layouts and turn them into pages. So
Very cool.
weird, like super meta artist and to get paired up with early on, but
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Now that you're more established in the industry, how are you feeling about it now? That to me, it seems like there's been maybe a comeback. Just my perception. Maybe it's been already around, but it just, for me, seeing more comics and seeing companies go through the changes, but the comics are still being produced either paper or digital formats now. Do you feel that it's either the same or has it decreased, or do you think the popularity has gone back up again?
Well, superhero comics are, it's been a while since people were really into comics just to read the visceral experience of the comics. It's almost like now the superhero comics are used as the fodder for when they make a movie later, and they're just keeping it alive to farm the good ideas out of it and turn it into the next Batman movie or whatever. That being said, there are some really exciting things happening in the cinema, and it's great that comic superherodom has like mass culture popularity. Everybody knows who Thor is, and when you talk about Thanos, they know what you're talking about. They don't look at you with that crazy blank stare anymore. But on the other hand, they don't know anything about the comics, and that's okay. Like it existed for what it was at that time in our lives when we were reading it, picking it up at the 7-Eleven and reading it just because it's a fun story to read. That part's gone. But I would also argue that the indie market is alive and thriving, and there are some really exciting comic books coming out of it, and none of them are superhero because everybody's tapped out on superheroes. Why would you even do another superhero? They've all been done. But there's a lot of really interesting, heartfelt stories coming out of the indie market, and great, because it's not hard to get your stuff out there. I mean, anybody in the world can put their comic strip up on webtoons, line webtoons, and some people have done that with stick figures and gotten a market, gotten followers and made money selling comics. Like anybody can do it. So that's exciting. But I don't know. Who knows? It's still fun to do. I like telling stories, and I'm just thankful there's people still reading them somewhere. Even if a lot of times they're being made as hopefully it's a future movie or TV show. There's a lot of that going around, but it's cool to make good comics.
I think a lot of that's because I think if you look at Hollywood in general, like I think they're running out of stories. So the comic industry is a place to grab and turn comics into movies or TV shows, and then have them sort of take a life of their own in the cinema. They've been using books for the longest, right? Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all these movies generally have come from just like hard paperback.
Okay, for us old people, the Maltese Falcon. Okay, but the use of book stories go way back, way back.
Right. And I think the risk back, once the comics hit the forefront, it was okay, can we, how do we do a movie that where the comic fans, because that's generally who you're going to get to go watch the movies, and then you're going to try to branch it out from there, right? So but now it's like, so I'm gonna say oversaturated. I just think that the market is okay. Because you see the boys are sort of they were in, the indie comic. Now they're a nice TV show and stuff like that. Different perspective, but you can't go. I guess you could try to produce another superhero show that would mimic the boys, but it would just be sort of like a straight copycat, right? So,
right.
But
well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of I was gonna get back to the indies. Like there's a lot of, like, as you're saying, there's a lot of indie comics out there that are thriving, and folks are able.
Paper Girls just came out.
Yeah,
I think the Gray Man might have even been a comic, and Sandman might, it was certainly mainstream, but it was kind of indie. It was like the Vertigo title that got them off the ground. And there's a million more. I mean, there's a surprising number of stuff that's been adapted from comics, from Watchmen all the way down, and it's some really good ones. It's not all
I just hope that
garbage anymore. For a while there was a lot of hot garbage going into the comic.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, like, if you do get movies that are picked up, or comics that comics that you've drawn, and stories that you tell that get picked up into the massive industry of movie, TV, and film, you get your just due out of that, and stuff like that. Hopefully.
I mean, that'd be cool. Sure.
Yeah.
One day we'll see a character based on Karl Moline, based on a character by Karl Moline right there across the screen.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about, your own sort of personal characters that you've created and stuff like that. Do you have a book of those yet, or have you thought about doing any of that?
I've thought about it. Yeah, I've thought a lot about it. I don't have any, though. The truth is, I've always worked with writers. I've never written my own story, but it is something I plan to fix.
Right.
Listen, I used to make my own comics and write my own stories, and I kind of got talked out of it. So I know it's in there, and I think I'd be good at it. But so far, it's just been a giant chicken shit, and I haven't done it.
Everybody take that leap of faith,
hey, Carl. Write more.
Everybody's going to Kickstarter these days, so you could always test the waters there.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, or I could put them up for free online webtoons. I mean, the point is, I need to just do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I'm so precious about wanting it to be good, wanting the first effort to be great, something really memorable. But guess what? Nobody's ever good the first dozen times you throw it out there. You know how many bad drawings I had to do before I could start to draw good drawings? Like, millions of terrible failures get there, and I need to just go ahead and suck for a couple of stories, maybe a dozen, and just get it out of my system, and then hopefully I'll write my Citizen Kane or.
Nice. Do you have any characters, like, since you're an artist, has there been just a time where you just like, okay, I'm just going to create this character and I'm going to name it this, even though it's not doing anything? Have you just done any of that? Just created something and just gave it a name? No, not yet.
I mean, I used to, again, when I was a kid, I had pages and pages of characters with names like Lore Knot. They were the sword, the chainmail armor, and terrible. But no, I don't really do that anymore. I do sometimes just draw for the funsies of it. I just haven't taken to naming the drawings, but sure. Yeah.
Well, if you ever jump into it, there you go. You got some people that believe in you. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
Might be three of us, but hey,
all right.
We'll be your first 3 sales. We'll be your first 3 sales.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, use your power and influence to get all the people watching this to buy copies as well. How many viewers do you guys normally get for your shows?
5, 6. No, kidding.
Well, I mean,
fair.
It varies.
I know 3 people here.
Yeah. It varies on it varies on the content sometimes in the topic that we're talking about in pop culture. If it's video games versus
what's
comics.
your best number? What's your best night? You were like
4,000.
4,000 what views from what?
When we interviewed you.
That was the best. Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
wait, no.
For live viewers.
Oh,
for live viewers.
live viewers. Oh yeah.
No, he's talking about interview views. I mean,
Interview. I mean, you've interviewed. We were interviewed Ryan Penagos. You interviewed quite a few other folks. You guys have interviewed.
Can you interview Andy Kubert
No,
or Adam Kubert?
I tried to after talking to Emma, but they were in a panel.
Oh.
Yeah, no, we've interviewed Jimmy Palmiotti, Derek Robertson.
That's who it was, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they range between 2 and
Jimmy's
6
the man.
interviews, depending on.
Shout out Jimmy Palmiotti.
Yep.
And Amanda.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Favorite power couple.
Yeah.
I do know from
Jimmy's
from
an
what-
amazing
wait a
guy.
minute.
He is so smart. Seriously, that guy is so smart and creative and just a go-getter. It's one of my heroes.
Yeah, he's definitely a nice guy too. He's very down to earth and talks to
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's super
you know
kind,
what? I was just looking at
generous.
Facebook.
patient. Yeah.
I do know that when we've interviewed creators like you before, they pick up some traction because there's a lot of people who still are into the comic books and stuff like that. So
Right.
they
Well,
want to see
alright.
what you have to say.
Yeah,
You
we
know.
posted multiple locations, like in Facebook. Like we had over 100,000 views with Ho Che Anderson's interview. So
Okay. So
Like,
maybe it's
great.
good saying that my comic comes out on August 31st,
That's what I was
Down
thinking,
to
actually.
keep it.
Yeah.
picking up
Yeah.
a.
You know,
Look it
and
up.
that means when this interview is ready, we will make that point that your comic is
Alright.
dropping next Friday.
yeah,
So
there you go.
Yeah.
or next
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Find
rather,
some
the
images.
31st,
There's-
2 weeks.
You can actually find some of the pages out there on one of the sites. Post a few of the preview pages.
I'll have to
Okay.
check that out because we
Ages
can
ago,
we can
yeah.
also push those out as well. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
You know, we added to the interview.
Eternus is the name of the book. Eternus with a U, Eternus.
One thing I did want to ask you, because you've been in the industry for a while and you've seen it, from different perspectives, from major publishers to indie publishers, right?
Sure.
Is there a shift or a change from you're working for, let's say, like Marvel or DC versus going independent?
Well, the shift was that I didn't have these terrible deadlines anymore. Basically, indie books get done when they're done, and I was trying to like ink and color myself and do more cover work, and I just wanted something where I was taking more time with the art and happier with the product. So the indie market kind of gave me a chance to practice that stuff because I hadn't done any of that, and I needed to suck real bad at a couple of projects before I could figure it out. So yeah, that was the only major thing. Less money, but more time, less exposure.
Well, one thing I learned about you when we were talking at the convention is you are a perfectionist for your work.
I am
wanna
a little
take that
bit.
time.
I mean, if you can call it perfect, it's a shame that it's not better if I was going for perfection on everyone. But it's the best I could do at the time.
Right.
And I do.
But I remember we talked about that a little bit. You even had one that you didn't like the way it ended up, and you asked the guy if you could redo it or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrible about that. I want it to be the best I can do. I don't know. It's probably like an OCD thing. I don't even know why. It's got to be right. But I can't just phone it in and be like, all right, that's cool. Good enough.
There you go.
That looks like a hand. That tells the story fine. Like I want people to be like, wow. And I want to make that noise inside my head when I'm drawing it. If I can, make it fun, then I don't get bored with this job too. That's the other thing. It's like, I think it's as important for me to get excited about it, because how is somebody reading it going to get excited if I'm not even like,
correct? Yeah.
This is fun, so.
Right. Yeah. I was going to ask you, so as you're once a project completes and you hand it over and you're ready to wrap up from it, and then you go back and do you actually go back and look at go out and buy a copy and just to judge it for yourself, and then
they usually give me copies, but I'll read through it with everything. Like usually I'll read through it printing. They'll send me a PDF file with all the letters and everything. Say, everybody check it out, see if you find any mistakes. But then I like a little time to go by and then a month later read it, and that's when I'm like, oh my god, that's the worst drawing I ever did. Oh Lord, this whole thing is terrible.
Self-critique.
It's awful. By a month out, I'm like, I hate my work. That's
Somebody's
good.
like, "Oh, this is the
It
best
means I
comic
got that
ever."
much better that I think that my best effort is
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Well, I mean, you could be
I
at
like
one
it.
of the comic. You could be at one of the comic cons, and somebody's like, "Hey, can you sign this? This is like the best comic ever." You're like, in your mind, you're like, "Really?"
Right.
That's
Well,
exactly what he seemed to be like.
And
Yeah.
it's ironic too, because the book I always recommend to people is Frey because of the story.
Right.
It's one of my older books, and there's so much wrong with the artwork, but it holds up as a whole story. Like, it just top to bottom, everybody did a fantastic job.
Mhm.
And so that's one I recommend, even though it's like, ugh, I didn't even know how to draw necks or elbows. It was terrible. It was terrible. But what are you gonna do?
Nice.
One thing I did want to say to you is that when I witnessed you drawing at the convention, it was very, the way that you draw from your mind is amazing. I think that's a big talent that, I used to draw, but I can't memorize what I'm drawing. I'd have to look at something and I could redo it or change it up, right? I just can't draw from memory. And a lot of artists today are switching over from like paper and pencil to digital. So when I saw you draw like paper, pencils, markers, that amazes me because it's not the go-to anymore for a lot of up-and-coming artists. So has that shifted for you as well, or you still like that traditional sense?
Yeah, it has shifted. I actually, a bunch of years ago, this is right after the last big book I did for the big companies, I did a Superboy story, and everybody did great. The colorist did great, the inker did great. I hated it, and I was like, I'm pouring my soul, and it doesn't even look like the drawing that I did. Like, come to the end, I want to learn to ink myself. I want to learn to color myself. Just stop being a cog in the machine and just do my own thing. And then during that process, I realized how great the people I was working with actually were. Once I started trying to ink and color, and I'm like, what these guys do is actually amazing, and I can't believe I was so dissatisfied with it. But during that process, I had to become computer literate. Most of the coloring that's done these days is all computer colors, and I was lucky enough to go up to Virginia and work with a buddy of mine on a project where I got to sit next to him, and I helped him on his project. And for a whole month, he just sort of coached me on all the, here's how you do this in Photoshop. And I'd have a question, how do you do it? It's Shift 9 or whatever. And and I got pretty digital literate. But really, at the end of the day, it's just another tool. It's just, you have to learn the keystrokes and whatever, but you're still the one drawing it. It's not like the computer is some magical thing that does it for you. It's just now you can flip the image, over and work on it backwards and draw white into the black. And, that head is slightly too big, but you love the expression on the face. Well, you don't have to erase it and start over. You can circle it and shrink it down. And, I do my roughs on the computer like that. And then I print them on board in blue line. Here's actually a pretty good example. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh,
so this
wow.
is a page where this is the rough drawing that I did, and I inked the girl there because she's a patch. This is what the inked page looks like.
That is really, really cool.
Oh, that is amazing.
So, but you can see, I do the rough part, and then I print it in board on the blue line, and then when I scan that, the blue doesn't show, and all you're left with is the physical ink. So I still like to be physically involved in the creation of the art. I don't do it all on the computer, but I use the computer to get there. Again, people don't buy commissions that are done digitally, really. So you still need to know how to physically make a piece of paper turn into a color drawing, or black and white or whatever's your thing. But yeah, You have to know both. In this day and age, you got to know both. And honestly, just knowing how to do basic graphic design can get you through in a pinch if you're ever between projects.
Mm-hmm.
People pay all kinds of money to have you scoot text around.
There you go.
This is a valuable life skill. You know what I mean?
Nice. I wanted to ask, like, who are some of your major influencers that got you sort of beaming about comics? Like, some of your favorite artists in the industry.
Well, as a young guy, one of the first comics I discovered was Cerebral, the Aardvark, which is weird. I mean, I rode my bike to the comic book store, and I only had $5, and it was the Dark Knight cover, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I bought it, and it was the weirdest comic, coolest comic I ever read. Turned out to be my favorite series of all time. I don't know if you've ever read it. Started High Society. He started getting his chops during High Society, and read on from there. It's the biggest, most complex, funniest, romantic. It'll make you cry, all the feels. It's great. So Dave Sim, who did 300 issues of Cerebral the Aardvark, that was his life's work, and
Love Cerebral.
did that for 30 years. Just an amazing effort. I also was really into the Image boom when that happened. Jim Lee, and Todd McFarlane, and Eric Larson, and even Rob Liefeld. I loved all those guys, and it wasn't until I went to art school and started taking drawing classes with like human figures, and I was like, oh, those guys draw. They're not really drawing. They're doing a stylized thing, but they're not drawing. And then I got really into guys that could draw, like Brian Boland, and I got storytellers like Matt Wagner. Grendel Warchild was one of my favorite comics. And Steve Rude. I found a run of like 40 Nexus comics at a flea market. And
Nice.
Steve Rude, is just one of the great grandmaster, realistic artists, but with a cool sort of stylized thing going on too. That was a fun book. So these days, I'm really into guys like Sean Murphy and James Herron and Warren Daniel Johnson. Am I saying that? Daniel Warren Johnson? I might be getting his name mixed up. I love Dan Panosian's work. He's blowing my mind recently. I still love Stuart Immonen. He's one of my favorites. Jason Pearson. Do you guys know any of these people?
I do. Yes,
I do.
They probably do. I've heard of Sean Murphy before.
Dan Panosian, we interviewed him at the convention as well, but the same issue happened at the time.
Oh, with the audio?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he let you have it the way I did? Or was he like...
I'm glad that I wasn't there the next day.
Yeah,
Was it bad? Did he punch anybody
I
out?
was, yeah. Oh.
No, yeah, I felt terrible because, I wasn't the one that set up the audio. So now I make sure that I'm the one that sets up the audio for everything, and I get it right. But yeah, I felt terrible, man. And Dan Panosian was one that audio issues, and also in that row, Sean, I think his name is. I don't know if you know him.
Sean Crystal?
Yep, Sean Crystal and Mo as well. And I felt so bad. I felt terrible.
You should, Mr. Shame on you. How dare you? It was an honest mistake. But maybe just try.
And I'm sitting there going, I
I
wasn't there the previous day, and I was there the next day, and I'm sitting there going, can we still be friends? Please don't blame me. I had nothing to do with any of that.
There's something that really stuck out to me though, like when you're at conventions, right? Is that the fact that despite all your talent and history in comics, you are very, very awesome to the people that come up to your table. You're very kind. Yes,
No.
you're very kind. And I saw you actually with people behind that went to a panel of yours, and you were helping them with their art and giving them
Oh, yeah.
suggestions. And that was really cool stuff that you do that.
Oh, well, thanks. I mean, I just, people helped me when I was young and hungry and trying to figure things out. And I mean, I'm not one of those people that gets like competitive or, possessive about the resources in the comics world. Like, there's enough room for everybody. And I genuinely feel like the more that we lift up other people, the higher we rise in our own lives. Like, it's just, we're all sharing energy. And I feel like being stingy about your time or your whatever, like, that's why you're there, is to put that out there, spread that knowledge, help the next generation of kids who are coming up. And it might not play out to be anything. Both of those guys might be totally bored with comics within 6 months, and it was a wasted 45 minutes or whatever. But I don't know. In the moment, it helps me get excited too. I mean, in a selfish way, I do it for myself. Because like I said, it's like I really do feel like the more you tear down other people, the more you're actually tearing yourself down. And the more you lift up other people and light up other people, the more you light up your own life. Like, it really...
I also like the fact that
works out
you,
that way.
as well as some other comic book people that were out there on the Artist Alley, later in the weekend, as if I was going by your booth, out of nowhere I heard, hey Paul, how you doing?
Right.
Which is just, that means that you're not so stuck on, I'm me, I'm the artist, I gotta, that you acknowledged us, which for me, I like that.
Well,
because it's more personal,
I'm glad you like that. I just say
Yeah.
hi to people. but
I mean, the
I'm
fact
glad
that
it could mean something more.
it does, because one, you remember my name, which you
Yeah.
said you have issues with.
Yeah. Oh, I really do. But yeah, your moniker helped you stick out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But no, so as a fan, as a person out there in the convention who is talking to you guys for sometimes only 5-10 minutes, to have that acknowledgement is kind of nice.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming out and seeing our stupid drawings on paper. Like, it's nice to be acknowledged by you. So,
well, I mean, put it this way: there was one celebrity at that convention I've known since I was 10 years old, and he had no idea who I am, even though our families know each other and stuff. But he blew me off the whole weekend. So yeah. So
who is that? Well, no, you know what? Don't say it.
I'm not going to say anything.
I know who it is. I know.
Yeah.
I will never forgive that guy either. Oh my god. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. It's just one of those things.
Before we all get out of here and whatnot, I do want to ask you, over the course of your history, what are some of the favorite characters that you've drawn that you really resonate to? You really go back and like, wow, I do like this art that I did.
Yeah, Frey, Malaka Frey, the character that I worked on with Joss Whedon. That was probably my first and favorite. And she was so perfect and just really came alive inside my head. And yeah, I still miss her. And then the character that I co-authored, well, Tony Bedard came up with the idea, really. It's his baby. But Cassie Starkweather on Route 666 and Cisco, and that whole story was just amazing. And to be a part of that, we really did something special. And it's a shame because you can't even find, most of the issues never got traded. There's a trade of the first 6 issues, and then the rest of the 22, you got to find floppies if you ever want to read it. So nobody's ever going to read it. But it was, I was biased, but it was my favorite book at CrossGen. And lots of the other creators used to say that to us on the regular, like, yours is my favorite book. And, most of that was actually Tony, because it was just such a fun story. And I was, really not doing great at that point in my career. But we did a lot of fun, and I had a lot of heartfelt emotions for those characters. Yeah, and then as far as like work that I'm really, really proud of, I was really proud of that issue that I did with Tart, where I colored it. I drew it, inked it, and colored it myself. That was the first time I'd done a full story like that. and it's not great. It is not great, but for a first effort, I thought it was pretty fun and pretty good. So it was good. I think that's it.
Nice.
I think that, yeah.
Great.
I mean, truthfully, the real truth is I try to have fun on whatever I'm working on, even if it's like the boringest thing. I had a teacher in college tell me there are no boring problems. There are only boring solutions. If the thing you're working on is boring, well, that's on you, son. You are the one who effed that up. There's a million ways you could do any piece of art, and if you can't find a way to have fun with it, then you're the one who failed. Right. So, I try to remember that when I'm not having fun. But I've been working in comic books, so most of the time there's cool characters and fun environments and crazy situations. It's not just talking heads and reality show contestants or whatever. It's fun. So I've been into everything I've worked on, even the stuff for the Army. I've done some fascinating stories. Good times.
It's awesome. It's a good way to stay grounded and, continue to stay hungry and do the things that you want to do and produce good art and sort of live on forever. Because that's one thing that's always going to remain, especially right now. Like I can look up your name and find all your comics right now.
Yeah, but I mean, look how much changed in 1,000 years. Yeah. Like think about 1,000 years ago. What was it like in the year 1022? What were they doing?
Yeah, definitely not this.
Togas? Did they have printing presses yet? I don't even think they had.
So what you're saying is we should take some Karl Moline artwork and put it up on caves just in case in the future.
No way. I'm saying none of this is going to last. Nobody's going to remember any of this. Like, we don't even remember our great-grandparents' names. And that's true. That's like 2 generations ago.
Right.
Nobody's going to care about what you blogged about or what we talked about. The moment it matters is right now, is in this moment, our connection, this energy transferring, and then it's gone. And then you never have to worry about it again. Just worry about the one that's in front of you, that you're in.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Time is
1,000 years from now, people will probably loosely remember Batman and Superman, but they're not going to remember who drew him or who.
It might be that the AI wipes us out and
there is that.
Robot men are conquering Alpha Centauri or whatever. Well, they're probably not conquering; they're probably communicating peacefully. Blood-bound animals like us, but
they create their own.
Yeah, who knows, man? We'll probably be, the way the butterfly remembers the caterpillar. Like nobody's going to care. That old husk. Yeah, that's. And nobody's going to care about this art. I just try to have fun with it in the moment. And people who look at it, enjoy it in the moment of experiencing it, and then go on with your life. Right. It's fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Just when I get old, I'll be able to go back and look through it.
Right. I do rewatch and reread stories, though. That is pretty cool.
I mean, who knows? We could send some of it up to space, right? And then kind of crash down in the future. People will think like, oh, wow, look at this. Is this something that is a message,
Right. Yeah. Right. Or maybe you could just sit quietly at a computer and type down whatever you hear in your brain, and a story will come through from the ether as randomly as that one did from outer space.
There he is.
Create somebody with a story. Maybe you'll catch one in a bottle. You know what I mean? But we don't do that. We don't sit around waiting. Just go out.
Yeah. It's nice. Awesome. Well, Karl, I know we're coming up on time. Where can we find you, and what do you want to promote and share with the inter?
Well, my home address, if you want to find me, I live on the internet. I have almost no contacts. I have Facebook, Karl Moline. My avatar is a little 3-eyed cat. I'm only one of 2 Karl Molines on there, so should be easy. Instagram, it's Karl.Moline, lowercase. I think I have a Twitter account, but I never use it. I don't even really use it. I actually haven't been on my social media in almost a month.
Okay.
I think I popped on there once for like 5 minutes and I felt dirty and I checked out immediately. But Facebook would be the place to message me and friend request me, and I do go on there and collect friends
There you go.
for future marketing endeavors.
There you go.
I don't know when I'll ever use it, but
Yeah.
nice to know that it's out there.
Awesome. And any
And that I
other
have so many
projects?
friends. Sorry, what?
Any other projects you want to plug that you're working on? I know you just plugged the one earlier.
Yeah, I did do another one, Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. Another indie book through Orange Cone Productions. That just came out. The Kickstarter's over. Sorry for your luck, people, but maybe you can buy a copy. And I did a story in there.
There you
My
go.
good buddy Sebastian Piccione, who wrote it, and it's called After the Wonder.
Yeah, when I was going through your Facebook page earlier, I saw you posted one of the artwork for that.
Right.
And it really looked
Yeah.
cool.
I did quite a bit of pimping when the Kickstarter was going on, but yeah, I picked that up. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Then, of course, you have the one that's coming out in 2 weeks. Then let's give that information one more time.
Yeah, Eternus issue 1, August 31st, comic stores nationwide. I don't know how many copies they'll have because it's a little, untested book from Scout Comics. But contact your comic shops. Tell them you want your copy of Andy Serkis's Eternus.
There you go.
And then they'll order an extra copy.
Nice.
And I'll tell you what, just because it has his name attached to it, you probably will get a bigger audience.
I keep saying it out loud. It's certainly, and even then, everybody knows him, but it takes them a second. You know what I
They're
mean?
like, what is he doing?
Schmiegel. You know Schmiegel? Yeah. He was
There it is. Awesome. And the final question of the day, pineapples on pizza. Is that a yay?
Never! Oh my God, never! I will never have a pineapple. No, I'm just kidding. I love them. I actually really, really enjoy it.
For a second there, Carl, I almost believed you.
You even knew my answer ahead of time.
Yeah.
I had to mix it up to surprise you guys. No. Yeah, I love everything on pizza. The more the merrier. Come into my mouth with all the different flavors.
Yeah.
Love you, long time pizza. So yeah.
There you go. Awesome.
Oh, I'm gonna have to unfriend you on Facebook now. Sorry.
All right. You're lost, baby.
The next time
listen, if I promise to never serve you a slice of Hawaiian pizza, will you
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
The next time you see him at a convention, he'll be dressed as a pineapple's cosplay.
I will have a pineapple costume on.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Pineapple Paul.
So if you're looking for,
that's his nickname.
If you're looking for an idea, Carl.
Yeah.
So here it is. We can pitch this story. It's Pineapple Paul Adventures. There's a pineapple going on all these different adventures, doing random things with fruits. And
he
now I know that next time we
slices up all the fruit.
Next time we are at the same convention, I'm going to hear from across the convention for, hey, Pineapple Paul. I'm going to be like, oh my God.
Well, now you'll be remembered. You won't be forgotten, right? That's like, now you got a nickname that's stuck to you, like the spiky parts of a pineapple.
Yeah.
And also, part of the great idea of this story pitch, Carl, is that every time he walks into a pizza place, he gets kicked out because he's a pineapple.
Right.
I never walk into a pizza place. I never walk into anywhere. But that's it.
I'm going to call in different names each time I see him.
Each time.
Poppy Seed Paul or Pepperoni Paul. Each time it'll be something new. People will be like, what is the story with that? Why is he Poppy Seed Paul? I'll be like, this is drug history. You don't want to
Pumpkin Paul, there's so many things you could just,
harvest heroin in South.
I guess now that it's almost pumpkin spice season, I guess that's going to come up. Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Pumpkin Paul, thank you.
Getting ready for fall. Pumpkin
Do
Paul.
you ever put pumpkin on your pizza, though?
Oh, hell no. No.
Have you tried it, though?
No.
No.
I haven't either. I don't know anybody who has, but I'm just saying we probably shouldn't write things off of our list unless we've tried them.
Ooh.
You just heard it here first, folks. Carl disinvented pumpkin pizza.
Pumpkin spice pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Spice pizza.
What would you couple pumpkins with? I mean, it's almost like a sweet potato.
A
Yeah,
cinnamon.
cinnamon.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle a sweet
You
pizza.
Banana would work in there.
You
Yeah.
have to take sweet out of it. You would. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, do some savory with that pumpkin. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, you have to throw some spice in there to make it spicy a little bit to get rid of the
Sausages
sweet.
would be good.
Yeah, some sausages.
Yeah.
Some
Mushrooms.
Can't believe we're
Pineapples.
talking about this. Boy, this
Pineapple.
interview has gone sideways big time. Okay, yeah.
I love derailing interviews. That's my heart's greatest pleasure is
There it is.
making you guys.
Oh, gee, look, Carl, I'm sorry. It looks like the audio didn't work. We got to do it all over.
After I was wooing like Ric Flair.
Oh man, yes. But just to close out the interview, so everybody watching, thank you so much for watching this later on. Check this out on Facebook. We'll tag Carl on Facebook as well, and Pumpkin Spice Pineapple Paul. We'll just keep adding names. Poppy Seed, Pumpkin
I'm
Spice.
just going to run over people.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, Carl, if you ever step out from behind that table, you're going to get run over. Okay.
All right, try it, buddy. Nimble. I'll dance around you. Bring it. Bring it, Poppy Seed. I got you.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.